All right, hello everybody. I'll wait a few minutes or moments in case people show up. But I'm Miss Jaimie from the Hampton Bays Public Library, and today is Claydate Playdate. So if anybody wants to come in, we will be making some fun stuff with clay. You don't need what I'm using today, which will be polymer bakeable clay, but you can use Play-Doh or you can use air dry clay, any clay that you have. Welcome to join me, but I'm going to be showing you the polymer bakeable clay. So for those of you who just joined, I'm Miss Jaimie from the Hampton Bays Public Library, and welcome to Claydate Playdate. Feel free to leave a comment and say hello, or if you have any questions, you can let me know in the comments. Or if you can't stick around, I can see your comments later, because this video will be posted on the Facebook page later. Or you can email us at the children's room at hbaykids@gmail.com, or you can message us anytime on Facebook. But today, I will show you. I have one that I have right here that my friend made me. It's a little cupcake on my necklace. And we have some other little beads that I made. So I've got a star. And you can see the little hole right there. And I have a heart, a red heart, with also the hole. So these are all beads. And this one's my favorite, the panda. I made a little purple and white panda. And again with the hole. And then I love making cupcakes. So as you can see, my friend made me a cupcake, but I also made myself one. So this one has the hole right there. And you can't see it, but I made little grooves on here for the cupcake liner. And then we have little sprinkles and the cherry on top. Although I don't really like cupcakes that much with cherries, but if you're making an ice cream sundae, that'll be good. But I made tons of little things before. My favorite things are probably the tiny little food, so I'll probably be doing that today. But I've made ice cream cones. I made little mint chip ice cream cones. I've done other beads, which I'll just show you how to make beads in general with mixing colors. People have made pendants, like flat laying pendants with a design on it. When I've done this with everybody else at the library, or I actually started doing this as an arts and crafts counselor at a camp, we'd make little sculptures, little tiny people, made aliens and other things like that. And our main thing at the camp, at least, was to make beads, because you can put them on hemp bracelets. So if you have hemp string at all, you do. I don't have any on me, but you would make a bracelet out of hemp string, and you usually do the cobra stitch, if anybody knows how to do that, and you'd make beads. Some of these beads won't lay as flat. I have mine on a chain, but you can use just regular cord or make your own hemp bracelet or necklace. So today I have two different types of clay. In the event description, if you saw it, there was the Sculpey 3 I recommended. So today I have Sculpey Bake and Bend clay. So that one, they have cool different things where you can make, and once you bake the clay, it'll still be able to move and it won't get so hard. I haven't used this yet, so I'm a little excited for that. And this one, I don't think they make it. This is a pretty old box, but clay lasts pretty long. Hello, for those of you who just joined, I'm Miss Jaimie from the Hampton Bays Library, and welcome to Claydate Playdate. Today I'm going to be using Friendly Clay Bake It from Amico. I don't think they make this anymore, but still just as good. So whatever clay you have, there's directions on the back that'll tell you how to bake it. And usually just bake it in the oven. I've used a toaster oven before. And I like to keep mine pretty thin, because if you have too many thick pieces or too many... Hello, Miss Jen. I hope Ashley's there too. Hello. If you have too many thick pieces, it'll take a lot longer to bake and you run the risk of burning your clay. Although I have seen things where people have taken the clay out and put it back in new clay and then baked that again. I haven't tried that, but I try to keep everything uniform and make sure it's about the same thickness so that it bakes evenly in the oven. But if you have air dry clay, then it'll just air dry out. If you have Play-Doh today, the Play-Doh unfortunately won't be able to bake it, but hopefully you'll be able to mix. Hello, Cindy. Hi, Gianna. Hopefully you'll be able to bake it and mix it. So today, I recommend if you have two different clays, like I have the Bacon Bend and the other clay that I said, the friendly clay from Amico, I would not mix them together because they have different baking instructions and they might do different things. So I just have a piece of wax paper on my table just to keep it clean. You want your clay to not get any dust or dirt in it because that might make it, I wouldn't say explode, but might make it not bake as well as you would want. You might get cracks or other things in there that you don't want. So you want clean hands and a clean work surface. You can use a paper plate. That's usually what I use at the library. But you can do whatever you want. And I also like to go with the smaller things because when you get bigger sculptures and other types of things, you have to run into putting support, either like skewers, wooden skewers or other things, and those have different baking things, and I don't want to set anything on fire, so we try to do that. So I think today, for those of you who just joined, I'll show you, I'm wearing my cupcake necklace that my friend made me, and I have a few of the beads that I made, my own cupcake, and we have a panda, little purple and white panda, and we've got the star and the heart. So you can make little sculptures. I made these beads so you can put them on a necklace or a bracelet. You can either put them on a chain like I did, or you can make, you have some hemp lying around. Hemp bracelets are really cool with these. Alright, so I think I'm going to show you how to make beads first. So just a basic bead. I think I'm gonna go with this green color, and I usually like to pick another color with it, and I think the hot pink will be good, and maybe the white. So we'll do a 3-color bead, and they all come in these little plastic wrappers, so you just kind of have to peel them off. Remember to have clean hands so you don't get any dirt or anything in there. If you want to comment what you're making at home, let me know. Or if you have any questions about anything, you can comment. So usually I like to take a pair of scissors and I'll just cut off a little piece. So it makes it easier, and you can save the rest for later. And I just kind of like to take the clay off with the scissors. I use the ones that aren't so sharp so it's easy to not cut myself. You might get a little, it's not the best. My clay set actually came with some tools, but you don't really need any tools. I usually use bigger skewers than this. But I have the 3.75 inch skewers today. And that's good for poking holes and making little designs. So if you do that, and then we have the pink, right? And I'm just gonna take a little piece, so I have a little rectangle here. I'm just gonna take it. If your clay is hard, you just kind of warm it up in your hands. You might need to mold it a little bit just the one color before you can mix it with other colors. I'm going to take my white. So it might take a little while, but you just warm it up. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm getting green in my white, but that's okay. Let me get the pink. So what I like to do is kind of mush them together like that. We have a 3-layer little thing. And then we can start making it into a snake. So we just roll everything together. And then it starts to make, the more you mix, the more your colors will be mixed together. So just keep that in mind, because they do mix like crayons do. So if you mix too many, you'll get brown. All right, so I kind of have that, and then we can start rolling it into a ball, like a meatball. You just kind of roll it the way you want it. It's got this cool swirly effect on there. So that, you can make it smaller if you want. You can just pinch off a little bit and try to roll it back up again. And we got that. And I usually take the skewer. I usually have the bigger one, so the smaller one might not work as well for me, but whatever size you have, just think about what you're gonna put it on. So a chain or a string, and you just kind of stick it in there. Be careful, the skewers are sharp. This one's broken. I don't recommend using the broken ones for you, but the points are sharp. And you don't need to go all the way down the skewer, but you just kind of put it there. I don't know if you can see the hole, but it's right there. And if you need to make it a little bit bigger, you can go through again and kind of wiggle it around. You kind of see, you see the hole, you'll see the wall behind me. So that would be a bead, so you would just bake it like that. Now anything else like I showed you before, you just kind of have to make sure that it's thick enough. So when you do the ball, that's pretty thick. But if you had something flat, that hole will just kind of collapse. So you need to make sure this one's a little bit thinner, but I made sure to put it through the thick part. If I just put it through one of the little points, that probably might break off. So I have it kind of going through the body of the star, through the middle. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a little, I don't know if anybody has a suggestion. I was thinking of making a hamburger or a cheeseburger. Make little tiny food. Or making an ice cream cone. So if you have any suggestions of what you want me to make, I'm of course not a professional maker. I think this will be good. I'm going to use this, I think, for a hamburger patty. I don't have a good brown, so that's the best it's going to be. I think that'll be a good bun color. And then we just need some cheese and lettuce and tomato. So I just cut off the little piece off of my clay. of whatever color I want. You can use whatever tools to cut if you have a little plastic knife or anything like that. I'm just gonna make that. Green and red. So I have a brown for the patty, kind of this orangish brownish color for the bun, yellow for the cheese, and then we've got lettuce. And leave a tomato. I just have all of my colors ready. And you just kind of use your imagination. There's no set way to do anything. So remember I said if your clay is hard, you just kind of soften it up in your fingers. I don't have any pictures or anything in front of me of what these things look like. So I just kind of play around. So remember I wanted something about the size of this. So it's going to be a little bit tiny. If you want to do something bigger, then you can, but it's going to have to bake longer. So I'm just kind of thinking about what a hamburger looks like. It doesn't have to be perfect. I got this little patty. And then I need a bottom bun and a top bun. So I'm just kind of softening it up. I think I'll do the top part first and leave that on the side because I think that'll go on last. I think this kind of looks like a good top piece because it's a bit rounded, so it's got the little curve there. So it's got that little curve on the top, so I think that'll be a good. And I'll take the bottom and make that kind of like a flat circle. And you can always add more if later on it doesn't look right. You can smooth it with your hands. Some of these things you can kind of smooth. If you have a tool, you can kind of smooth out the edges. So I'm going to put the burger onto my patty, or onto my bun. And I just want to make sure that it's all stuck together. So if you don't stick your clay all the way together, it runs the risk of coming apart later. So I try to just take my little skewer. You can also, if you have a tool, take the tool, clay tools, and I just kind of mush the seams together. So it kind of makes it kind of stick better. So if you mush it, you just kind of roll it. And that'll stick. And you want to do that on all of your seams. So anywhere where the clay meets itself, you just kind of want to make sure that it's attached. So now I think we're ready for some cheese. Now the cheese and the other pieces I'm going to make thinner so they don't necessarily need to be perfect. I'm going to try my best to make a little rectangle, square. Make sure everything's joined together, because sometimes your same color will separate too. And if you need help making it a little bit flat, I just use a marker as a rolling pin. And you can kind of roll it and make it flat. And then you can cut it if you have a tool. Or you can just use the skewer. I kind of have my cheese like melt over the side a little bit. So if you see that. So if you have any questions, feel free to comment. Let me know if you're making something different. So for the lettuce, I'm gonna try to make it a little bit more kind of wavy on the edges. It's not gonna be as nice and neat. You can just size it up. If it looks too big, you can make it smaller. I just got the lettuce there on top. Looks kind of like a leaf. Nobody's gonna see the top though. So it's not perfect at all. It's a little lopsided. That's okay. Now I'm gonna make a little tomato. I just soften that up in there. Might not look like a tomato, but it might look like ketchup. I'm trying to make it as round as possible. Make it into a circle. Because otherwise, if it's a little wavy, it might look like ketchup, but that's okay. Yep, I stuck that on there. So we got the bottom bun, the burger, the melted cheese on top, the lettuce, and the tomato. And I'm just gonna take my little skewer here and just make sure all of those are a little bit pressed down so they don't fall apart once they're baked. And now I have that top bun with the curve, and I'm just gonna put that right on top. of squish everything together. Some sides you can see it better than others, but what hamburger is perfect? None. All right. Just squishing that down. So I'll show you the best side, I think, is that side. And even that one you can't see, at least in the camera. You can't see the tomato as well as I would like. But if you were looking at it, that side, you can see the tomato and the lettuce, but you can't see the burger as well. So it's not perfect on every side. But you just kind of keep it. Now if you want it to be really daring, you could take some white or this cream color I have. That'd probably be better than the white. And you can make little sesame seeds to go on top. So just like I had in this one, the little sprinkles, you end up making little thin pieces. So I might have a little bit of a scrap on here. Tiny little piece. And you could take your little skewer and just kind of rip off a little piece and stick it on. And you just kind of press that in. I'll do a few so maybe it'll show up on camera. It's not going to be the exact perfect shape of a sesame seed. But it's still going to be cool. So I just put that right on top. The little sesame seeds. And I just kind of pushed it down. I'll try to shape it just a little bit more into a little kind of teardrop shape, but it's not going to be perfect. Well, that's okay. So there's our little sesame seed bun. Lettuce. Now with this, if you wanted to make this into a bead, you'd have to be very careful because of all the layers. So you don't want to separate your layers, but it can be done. I'm not going to make mine. I like little sculptures. But you can make that. You would just gently glide it through probably the middle. You can also get, if you have those little eye hook things, there are some that are okay for baking with the clay, but I don't have any of those. But that would be, you could stick it right through the top, and then it would have a little loop on the top there that you could stick a chain or something through. So that might be a better option for something like this that was delicate, because the skewer will come through all of the layers where the layers have all the seams on this side. But if you had one of those eye hooks, it would come from the top where all of the layers are kind of stuck together more. Alright, so if anybody has any suggestions of what I should make next, I'm all ears. So I'm just going to clean up a little bit of my clay. If you have any questions about the clay, or you have questions about what to make or how to make it, or if you have questions about the library, you can ask. I'm just kind of cleaning up because you don't want to mix all of your colors together. Now the clay, you can store it in a plastic bag with a zip. So if you have a Ziploc bag, that works great. They last for a while. These are actually several years old. and they have lasted in the packaging. And this packaging actually has the plastic only around the outside and not on these edges. So it's lasted pretty long, and really you need to just soften it up in your hand and it'll get back together. And as long as you don't smush it and you don't have all the little crummy bits, it should last all different colors that are open together. So I think I'm going to try another thing, but I'm going to try that bake and bend clay. So I want to make sure that all of my other clay is not here because I don't want it to mess up any of the baking times. So remember I said if you have different types of clay, don't mix it together because they have different baking times and you run the risk of burning something or making it not stick together properly because some of the clays are made of slightly different things. So I'm just going to move all this clay to the side. And we have this bake and bend clay. So I'm not going to make anything super big, but you should be able to bend it and bake it. And Sculpey has some other cool ones. They have eraser ones, which I've not done. If you bake it, it'll turn into an eraser. You can erase pencil with it. This one comes with a little tool. Of course, the tool has made a big dent in that piece of clay, but that's okay. So, in here, it's got an idea for a bendy bookmark buddy. So, unfortunately, it did not come with the colors that the raccoon here requires, but it has similar things, so you can make a little flat bookmark, and that can, once you bake it, put it in your book. So that's pretty cool. So I think I'm gonna do something basic. I've never used this before, so I think I might try a snake because that would be a cool thing to wiggle around if it can bend. So I'm going to, let's see, I don't want a normal color green snake, so I think I'm going to do blue and yellow. That looks like a cool color. So these ones, the Sculpey comes completely wrapped in plastic. And it's still pretty easy just to take off. So this, I'm just gonna cut off my little bit. And it said yellow, so I'll do that. This I'm going to make a little bit bigger because it's going to be its own little thing. So I just kind of squished the clay together, looks kind of like a minion. And I'm just kind of going to roll it like I did before when we were trying to do the bead. Just kind of going to roll it together. It's really whatever size you want it to be. The more even you can make it, the better, because it'll cook all evenly. Just gonna roll it until okay. If we need to fold it back together and roll it some more to make the right swirls, you can do that. I don't know how long a snake should be. I'm probably not good at making the head, but I'm just kind of gonna form it. I don't know if that's in the right proportions. I think he looks kind of cool with his stripes. But I might make sure he has a pointy tail. So I'm just gonna kind of flatten it out. And I might even curl him up a little bit so that he was kind of sitting there. Now this, I'm not gonna, because it's supposed to be the bendable, I'm not gonna stick everything right here together, because it's okay if it moves a little bit, but he does have a little spot where his tail can rest on the rest of his body. And I might just take my little skewer or a tool, and I might just make a little bit of markings on him, so he might have like a line down his back. It doesn't have to be perfect. I don't really know what type of snake this is. But whatever you want to do, you can make little scales on him. If you really have a lot of time today, you can do little individual scales all over his body. And you could make this even if you don't have the bendable clay. You could make this with the regular clay. But I'll bake it probably sometime this weekend, and I'll send a picture out to show you what it looks like. So I just kind of made him a little bit textured. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. I think I'm going to take the white and the red so I can make him some eyes, and the black so you get the pupils in his eyes, and the red for a tongue. Now just remember, your hands are clay covered. Just like we wanted the clean hands for the clay, you don't want to touch your face or anything with the clay on your hand. So if you have an itch or anything, make sure you wash your hands before you touch anything. It's all non-toxic, but you never know. It may make you a little sick. Just gonna clean off my scissors. Just a little bit of white. With a little bit of black. So while I'm doing this, how is everybody doing? Have you been doing anything fun at home? Just miss you a lot at the library. So I'm sure everybody's busy with school. So feel free to comment. Right, so I'm just gonna soften up that piece. I'm gonna make a little bit of eyes. I think he's gonna be kind of cartoony, so it's okay if his eyes are a little bit too big, because it'll make him look a little silly. So I'm just kind of gonna make little circles. Now remember, you just move them. That made it into an oval. We want a circle. Oh, still an oval. So you just kind of have to play around with it. Oop, that might be a little bit too big. I'll make that a little bit smaller. Now the white clay is gonna probably not stay pure white, especially if you have some other clay still on your hands. That's okay. I think he's gonna be a little bit silly looking because his eye's really big. Now at least I want the eyes to be the same size. So I'm just kind of trying to eyeball it. Funny joke there. Eyeball the eye. And just kind of stick it on. I think that'll be funny. His little eyes. They're a little bit big, but I think it'll be fun. And I'm just gonna take my tool and make sure that all the seams are stuck together. So you might have to play around with it a little bit. Now it doesn't have to be perfect, as long as you get most of it stuck. You don't want it to just fall off. I'm gonna make the tiniest little dots of black for his pupils. Just making sure I stick it into the eyeball. And now he's got eyes. Alright, so there's not that much space left for his tongue, but I think what I'm going to do is try to stick the tongue underneath him a little bit so that it's under his head. But if you have space, if you're making the snake, if you have, then you can go on ahead with that. So I'm just going to take a little bit of the red, excuse me, and I'm just going to make a small little tongue. It's got to soften up a little bit. You want to roll it into a snake. Then you take your rolling marker. just roll it a little bit flat. Now snakes, they have the forked tongue, so this would look kind of like your tongue, but we want a little bit of a forked tongue. So I'm just going to take my little tool and it kind of stretched it out a little bit. So you just play around until it's fixed. It's not going to be perfect. I'll probably make sure that I have it a little bit long and extra, and try to judge where I can put it. I don't want it to be too thin because then it'll just break. So I'm already a little bit nervous it will, but just kind of rolling it up so that it has that little bit of thickness on the bottom where we're going to attach it. Now what I might do is, now I've stuck it right on the bottom there. So I think what I might do is take some of that blue again and just kind of go around it. So that will give it some more support, but it will also cover up the snake's tongue on where it shouldn't be. You know, your tongue's not outside of your body, it's inside your mouth. So I'm just kind of gonna put some blue. And you might have had the most perfect shape before, but you might have to rearrange it just so you can make sure that all of your pieces are together. But the good thing about clay is that you can kind of stick it back. So I just squished all that blue right around there. I'm trying to put that right back. And then I can smooth my hand. So some of it, some of the red was peeking out of the blue. So I just smoothed my hand, and I actually like that better because now I got some of that yellow back in there. So that'll make it nice and smooth. Yeah, so there he is. Now you can see where I smoothed out the eyeballs a little bit, so his eyeball kind of smooths out a little bit far onto the blue, but that's okay. So you can either do what I just did. I don't think I want to do that on mine, or you can try to kind of push it back up with your finger or back with the tool. kind of bend it back the other way so that it looks just a little bit cleaner. So now it's not overhanging there, because that all looks nice. So hopefully when that bakes, he'll be able to bend around. These ones with the regular Sculpey clay are hard. I don't know if you can hear that. But those are hard and you can't bend them. So hopefully this one, I'm excited to see if I'll be able to bend him. I'm not attaching his tail to anything, so I'm hoping to be able to still kind of go like this. His tongue might be too thin still, that even if you could bend it, it might break off, so I'm probably not going to be able to do much with that. But there is our snake. Let's see, we have about 9 minutes left. So if anybody has any questions or anything about the clay, so again, this was the Sculpey Bake and Bend clay. And this one will have different baking instructions. So this one says to bake it on oven-proof glass at 285 degrees Fahrenheit for 20 minutes per 6 millimeters of thickness. So that's about 1/4 of an inch, and that's usually the basic thing that I like to keep mine at, is 1/4 of an inch. And it says you can bake it on glass, but it's fine. I've usually done it on one of those foil cupcake tins, the disposable cupcake tins that you technically can reuse a bunch of times. I've done it on that, and it's been fine in a toaster oven. But if you have glass, it might take up longer to heat. So this one has on 265 degrees Fahrenheit, and bake it for 30 minutes. This one with parchment paper. Whatever your clay says, you can do that. I don't think it's impossible to do it not on clay, on a glass container, because I've never done it on glass. And I have not done it on parchment paper, but parchment paper should be fine. I'm sure some tin foil on a cookie sheet will be fine, because again, like I said, the cupcake tin worked. So we made today our little bead, swirly green and hot pink and white. We made our little cheeseburger sculpture. And with the bake and bend, we made our snake. So hopefully I'll have these all baked by the end of the weekend. And next week I will send out a picture on Facebook of everything, maybe a little video of the snake if it worked out okay. And if I make anything later today, I'll put that in there, but I don't think I'm gonna make anything else, but I might. There's a lot of cute things if you go on Pinterest and type in polymer clay or Sculpey clay. A lot of people sell little things, little pendants and earrings. You can attach, once it's baked, you can attach a magnet on things. Like I said, you could put in that little eye screw pendant in there to make it a pendant on a necklace. You could bake it and do the hemp necklace or bracelet, like I said, and do a little copper stitch around it. That'll look nice. Or there's certain jewelry, so if you wanted to make earrings, if you do the post earring, you can just, there's certain types of glue. Some are better than others. I'm not completely educated on all of it. that you can just glue the posts, but there are certain, if you want the hangy dangly earrings, there are certain posts that you can bake in the clay with it. So you always have to look to make sure that it's okay to bake, which, you know, a lot of the companies won't know. It's usually just people trying it out. There also are, you can make pens. It's a certain type of Bic pen. If you take out the ink, you can mold around the pen, the clay, and bake it. And then once it's done cooling, you can put the ink back in and you can make a pen. There's also different, I don't seal mine at all, but there are certain things if you want to make it glossy or more waterproof. I wouldn't wear these a lot in the water at all. This is more of a, you wear it for a little bit and then take it off. Don't sleep with it or put it on. The beads, if you do wear, right now I have a friendship bracelet, so the hemp bracelet's kind of like that, where it stays on you. Stuff like that, it'll be fine. But if you have something like a fancy bead instead of just the round beads, that you might be more not okay with putting that in the water. Plus, these beads don't have all those layers. This is all one piece now, whereas if you tried to put a cupcake bead, it might over time, even though I've mushed all the layers together, it might over time separate because of the water. So there are certain glosses and stuff that you can put on it if you want to do that. So if anybody has any questions, we're starting soon. You should get a May newsletter. That'll say a bunch of our programs for May. Some of it is not listed in there, depending on what our librarians are doing. But there is going to be a full list of programs in the newsletter that should be mailed out probably, I would say, tomorrow or Monday. And you can keep up on our Facebook with all the other events. I'm trying to post the event pages about a week in advance to give you some preparation, even if it's a pre-recorded video, but especially for any live videos, so you can join in live. But all the live videos and everything else will be available after the program, so you can watch it anytime and have some fun stuff. Our next program will be Monday at 7 p.m. I'm going to start reading Family Read Aloud with Miss Jaimie. I'm going to start reading The Wonderful Wizard of Oz every day for 2 weeks, Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. So you can join in even if you don't have the book. And like I said, even if you're not there to make it live every day, it will be available on the Facebook page afterwards. Next week we also have Mother's Day, crafts and food. So we have Miss Carol Lee on Thursday. She's going to do a Mother's Day craft. And on Friday we have Chef Rob Scott doing some Mother's Day tea sandwiches. So you join us for that. And on Tuesdays at 10:30 in May, starting next week, will be Tuesday's Tales, and I'll be a little bit more consistent of Miss Carol Lee's story times. So you can join in for all ages. We welcome everybody, and you can always, in any of our videos or anything, you can comment and message us, or you can message us on Facebook anytime. Any questions about homework or programs or anything at all, you can message us on Facebook or email us at hbaykids@gmail.com. So I hope you all enjoyed our Claydate Playdate, and I'll see you soon. All right, stay safe. Have a good weekend. Bye.